What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Israel Adesanya's next fight gets leaked by Dan Hooker. So far, the UFC has yet to formally announce a headliner for their upcoming return to Perth at UFC 305. While the promotion has just over 2 months to go until the August 18th card, so far, fans have been left to speculate as to what fights will take place. Out of the bouts that many fans have been anxiously awaiting for confirmation on is a long-awaited fight between Dricus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya. While so far the UFC has yet to announce the bout, Dan Hooker may have spilled the beans regarding Adesanya's fight.
Perth, we've stood our ground on Perth. The UFC said, yeah, we'll get them on that day, and then whoever steps up, who steps forward, that's kind of it now. But people were just harassing me for it, like, I care, brother. Like, it could be absolutely anyone. Like, I just, that day, I'll fight any man. Like, just, then I get to sit back, pop a beer, watch Kai fight, watch Israel fight, and have a good night out with my mates. That's all I'm concerned about.
Hooker will, of course, be looking to build on a 2-fight win streak that recently saw him pick up a win over Jalen Turner at UFC 290 last summer. Since then, injuries have kept him from active competition. However, he's retained his number 11 ranking on the UFC's official lightweight rankings. Given that the promotion is expected to book local stars for the UFC 305 card, it seems to be a matter of when the UFC books Hooker for a fight on the Perth card rather than if they will do so. Next up, let's take a look at Jon Jones fires back at Dominick Reyes' comments. While Jon Jones may have gotten his hand raised at UFC 247, Dominick Reyes has maintained that he should have been the one going home with UFC gold wrapped around his waist. The bout has remained one of the most disputed of Jones' career, despite the fact that it was scored as a unanimous decision win for Jones. During an appearance on the MMA Hour this week, following his UFC Fight Night Louisville win over Dustin Jacoby, Reyes spoke about Jones' future plans, while doubling down on his belief that he should have had his hand raised at UFC 247.
Right now, right? John's thinking, I only got 1 or 2 left. They got to be worth it. And he doesn't see Tom or Curtis as a long-standing champion. He sees them as right now, and he's not worried about right now. He's worried about forever. But forever, he'll be also known that he lost to me, but maybe we could figure that out one day.
Jones took aim at his former opponent in a series of posts on social media. First writing, "What a claim to fame. Almost beat Jon Jones. Got full of myself and literally couldn't win another fight." After a member of the MMA community pointed out that Reyes won his fight this weekend, Jones responded writing, "Oh, what a nice surprise. I didn't watch." Jones then wrote, "Dominick, when you look back at our fight, I don't want you to ever question me or those judges. Look at your own heart, your own endurance. You didn't do enough. The sooner you accept that, the better athlete you'll become." When a member of the MMA community shared a screenshot of the media scorecards from UFC 247, alleging Jones moved up in weight to avoid a rematch, he responded writing, "Now I vacated because everyone wanted the rematch? I love you guys with your narratives. I poke people in the eyes, my arms are longer, I'm bigger than everyone else, I must pay the judge, I'm ducking, no one's in their prime when they fight me. Keep them coming." He then concluded his rant writing, "At the end of the day, Dominick trained for years to defeat me. He mentioned that I was always his target from day one. He had the chance. The fight ended with that man trying to survive. Despite the animosity between the two, the odds of a rematch are likely slim to none." Next up, let's take a look at Jamahal Hill responds to Alex Pereira. Although it's been almost 2 full months now since Alex Pereira's stunning knockout win over Jamahal Hill at UFC 300, the pair have been going back and forth in the media this week. Hill took to Instagram earlier this month with a lengthy post regarding how he was treated by the MMA community in the wake of his loss to Poatan, questioning why he wasn't shown the same respect he gave to Glover Teixeira when he won the belt at UFC 283. Pereira then fired back in an interview, questioning why Sweet Dreams was reacting to the fight weeks later, joking that perhaps Hill had just regained consciousness from the knockout. In a post on his Instagram story, Hill has since responded, posting a photo of Pereira after being knocked out by Israel Adesanya, along with the caption, "Funny, only one of us had been knocked unconscious needing oxygen and multiple people's help to wake with your toes curled. Don't worry, I'll remind you of that feeling again very soon." So far, no response from Pereira. However, in the event that Hill winds up defeating Carlos Ulberg later this month on the UFC 303 card, the pair could wind up running things back later this year. Next, let's take a look at Garry calls out Michael Page for 5-round fight at UFC 303. Garry is taking some inspiration from Khamzat Chimaev, who suggested making his fight with Robert Whittaker 10 rounds rather than 5. Now, in a post on social media, Garry has teased the idea of asking Hunter Campbell to make his fight with Michael Venom Page at UFC 303 later this month a 5-rounder rather than 3. Putting the idea up to a vote on his Instagram story, Garry explained,
"Just finished a really good training session. I'm feeling fresh, I'm feeling ready. I think we should do 5 rounds. I'm going to get on the phone to Hunter in the UFC today and let's push for a 5-round co-main for this. Let's push it. This is a fight where we're representing the Irish. MVP, get ready for 25 minutes of pain."
So far, no response yet from MVP. However, given that fight night is just weeks away, it seems unlikely that the promotion will make the bout 5 rounds rather than 3. Of course, at the same time, Page has continued to take some shots of his own at Garry since the bout was finalized, compiling 2 clips of the Irish star. In one instance, Garry predicted that MVP would lose his UFC debut to Kevin Holland, while in another clip, he dismissed a potential fight with the Bellator vet. Given that, Page may be willing to up the ante and agree to a 5-rounder on short notice. Next up, let's take a look at Sean Strickland goes off on the UFC. Sean Strickland has shown throughout his career that he's not afraid to speak his mind, even when it comes to sensitive matters such as fighter pay. While many fighters may be hesitant to speak out against the UFC regarding fighter pay while being a part of the roster, Strickland took aim at the promotion before his recent UFC 302 bout with Paulo Costa. In addition, while speaking to media members ahead of the fight, Strickland was asked whether he would make the jump to BKFC in the future, which led to him taking aim at the bare-knuckle promotion and its fighters. In the wake of the UFC 302 card, Eddie Alvarez then took aim at Strickland for his comments, before fellow BKFC boxer Mike Perry did the same. In response, Strickland took aim at the UFC and BKFC once again, doubling down on his claim that the promotion doesn't pay fighters enough, writing, "UFC pay is utter garbage, lol. They're signing guys at 10K. That should be criminal, but the vast majority of BKFC fighters are getting paid way less than that. As a UFC fighter, I advocate for better pay for me and the entire roster. You should do the same for your guys." He then followed it up by adding, "While I'm on my soapbox from a poor man who became kinda a rich man, once you have capital, it just snowballs. These elites could probably never take a paycheck again and easily make 500K a year. Yet they still line their bank accounts with millions that they will never need or spend in all industries." As Strickland has made it clear, fans will likely never see him compete in the BKFC ring. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at Daniel Cormier reacts to Aljamain Sterling controversy. Recently, a UFC docuseries released through Roku gave fans a behind-the-scenes look at the UFC's operations over the past year. Moments such as when Jon Jones learned the full extent of his pectoral injury were all caught on camera, allowing the MMA community to see things that would ordinarily take place behind closed doors. The clip from the series that has continued to go viral, however, shows Aljamain Sterling and his manager meeting with Hunter Campbell regarding his UFC 292 fight with Sean O'Malley. During the meeting, Sterling and Campbell went back and forth regarding the fight, with Sterling explaining that he wished the promotion had consulted him after his UFC 288 win over Henry Cejudo before Dana White announced the Sterling-O'Malley fight to media members at the post-fight press conference. During a recent video for his YouTube channel, Daniel Cormier weighed in.
Gives you an opening and lets you see inside of it, and I believe that wasn't necessarily the best thing. It shows you how important Hunter Campbell is to the UFC. It shows you how he operates and talks to fighters. But I don't know that Aljamain Sterling was wrong in his assessment. He said he had to relive that moment and he hated it. I don't think that he was wrong. But I do know that at the end of the day, we choose to fight, right? And if you choose to fight, you kind of deal with whatever happens. And it sucks. That happened to Aljamain. I have been in situations where I've been called faster than I wanted to and asked if I wanted to fight. And I said, no, I don't want to do it. I remember Jon Jones beat me in 2017, probably like July. August, I got called, hey, you want to fight Fabricio Verdum? I'd always said yes, always. And I said no.
For his part, Sterling reflected on the situation in a video for his YouTube channel, explaining that at the time of the meeting, he wasn't happy with the situation, given that Campbell told him he didn't have to fight O'Malley at UFC 292, but not doing so would push him to the sidelines for almost a year. Next, let's take a look at Conor McGregor roasts Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. On paper, the UFC 302 card wasn't as deep as some of the other pay-per-view cards the UFC has held over the past year. Despite that, and the fact that many of the bouts on the card went the distance, Islam Makhachev and Dustin Poirier's headlining fight was an action-packed spectacle that the MMA community has continued to praise. In the recent post on social media, however, Conor McGregor was dismissive of the event as a whole, writing, "500K pay-per-view buys, 302 done. A nothing burger." While the 500,000 reported pay-per-view buys hasn't been confirmed, many members of the MMA community were quick to point out that if the event really did do 500,000 buys, it would be impressive considering the strength of the card. For example, according to Tapology, the most recent event to crack 500,000 pay-per-view buys was the UFC 269 Oliveira vs. Poirier card back in December 2021, which also featured another title fight between Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunes. McGregor, who has the record for the 5 best-selling UFC pay-per-views of all time, will have a chance to break another one of his own pay-per-view records at UFC 303 when he competes against Michael Chandler. However, according to a report from Ariel Helwani on Tuesday, the UFC is back to sending out feelers for a replacement fight, or fighter, for the June 29th card, casting doubt on the bout once more. While the bout is on as of right now, Helwani wrote in part, "It's all developing again, but it doesn't appear as though we are out of the woods either way just yet. More to come, and hopefully a definitive answer one way or the other in short order. Whether or not McGregor and Chandler wind up competing at UFC 303, only time will tell." The MMA community goes off on Conor McGregor for UFC 303. Since the speculation last week about Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler being cancelled, Conor has come out to give fans an update about the fight. Ariel Helwani updated us yesterday and said that the UFC is looking for replacements, and today he confirmed that by saying,
"One step further. Here we are, Wednesday, 1:13. The positivity that I talked about exactly 1 week ago today is nowhere to be found. I would say this fight is very much in limbo. I would say that it's hanging on, and I would say the UFC is working very, very hard right now to figure out a plan B."
Here's what the MMA community had to say to Conor. At this point, the UFC needs to out their energy into giving us fans a good new main event for UFC 303. McGregor likely wants more guaranteed money. He sees the way big fights are being pirated recently and doesn't want to run the risk of, let's be honest, he deserves 80 mil a fight. AJ and Canelo both get paid that, and they aren't an inch of the star he is. This is getting stupid. UFC and Dana White have to address this. If the fights or not, just this BS drama is making them look bad. Staying radio silent about updates, then canceling this fight 2 weeks out would be the ultimate FU to the fans from the UFC. Never buying UFC tickets again, LMAO. Yikes. Card is horrible without that main event. They better find a main event fast, cause that PPV is gonna do horrible without a good main event. When you book a dog-ish PPV with one good fight and that fight falls through, obviously the sensible choice is to throw up smoke and mirrors to stop fans from requesting refunds. Just slightly odd that just like last time, he just says no names, has no specific reasons, and is just telling people how he, or they, or whoever, feels, and how he's the only person saying one way or another. Such a bizarre situation so close to fight night. I cannot believe there's been zero explanation to PC cancellation, or what is putting this fight in limbo. I'll accept something vague for PR reasons, but no words at all is super strange and is not a good promotional element if that's what's being tried here. Top comments. I'm just tired of Conor, period. This is the weirdest strategy to promote a fight I've ever seen. Pretend it's off and on to make people guess? Only ring McGregor will enter is the Alcoholics Anonymous circle. Curious to see Asakura compete in the UFC. O'Malley will always sound dorky at any volume.